Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right, the Vikings are going to the Super Bowl. We're 1-3. We finally got that win. Everybody get your tank for Trevor Lawrence comments out of here. We're not hearing it anymore now that we've won a game. See all these tanks right here? Get them out. We are done with this. It is BS. Let's talk about this football game.
Kirk trying to win it to Thielen. Caught at the 5. I got 3 words for you. You like that? No!
What's going on, everybody? It is Nick, back with Skull Network, and the Vikings finally have captured their first win of the season against the Houston Texans. 31-23 was the final score. There was a lot of notable things to talk about, and just a lot of positives that I got out of this game, as well as a couple negatives, but we're going to try and stay positive here while we can, because this doesn't happen very often, at least not this season. So let's just jump right into it. Starting with just some of the more general looking at stats things. The offense, once again, played very well like last week, except this time it translated into a win. Kirk Cousins threw for 260 yards and a touchdown. Looked solid most of the game, still had some of those points where you hold the ball for a little too long. That's your bad Kirk side, but he kind of got those out of the way early on in the game and finished the game off relatively strong. Let's also not forget that design QB run that he had on the third quarter? I don't remember. It seemed like he ran better than Deshaun Watson today. Dalvin Cook had another great game. He ran 27 times for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns, and the man looked unstoppable. I mean, did we expect anything less from the Texans' horrid rush defense? Adam Thielen had 8 receptions for 114 yards and a touchdown, and he played with a little extra bit of a swagger in this game. I know everybody saw him doing the gritty, the Justin Jefferson dance move on the sideline after his touchdown. I felt like that kind of just brought a little life back into the team. Even though it was in the third quarter and they played well already, felt like it gave them a little extra boost at that point, and it was really great to see for Adam. And rookie wide receiver Justin Jefferson again goes over 100 yards with 4 receptions for 103 yards. No touchdowns this time around, but the man proves that he is going to be here to stay for the long haul if he continues to play this well. Now, quick while I'm on the offense, I want to talk about today's play calling because that's something that has been harped on a lot the first few weeks of the season. I was a big fan of how Gary Kubiak ran things today. Utilized Dalvin Cook beautifully. I mean, he ran 27 times. That's quite a bit, but Dalvin wants more carries. He says that he feels more comfortable when he has 20 plus touches, and that's exactly what Gary Kubiak did. Incorporated him in plenty of runs, lots of outside pitches, and especially a couple of screens. Now, not all of them worked, but when they did, they were relatively effective, and it just made for a great game. Sorry if you guys hear any vacuuming right now. If you hear that, my apologies. But again, I really like what Gary Kubiak did. That rushing attack that we had against that, once again, horrid Texans rush defense opened up a lot for Kirk and that play action passing offense, and it really helped him out quite a bit, even though there were a few times where, as per usual, you get a few of those with Kirk that just don't really work out, even though you got good protection. All right, we're gonna actually also talk about Deshaun Watson real quick, and this is just because I'm on the topic of offense, even though I was talking about the Vikings offense. Deshaun really did not play the way that most people expect him to today. He just didn't utilize his legs much. And we all know that Deshaun is one of the top 3 running quarterbacks in the league. You put him up there with Lamar Jackson, and he's probably better than Russell Wilson in most people's eyes. But he had, 3-4 rushes or something along those lines? And that was one of the big reasons that Texans offense wasn't able to really get into a strong rhythm. And I mean, obviously they're 0-4 now, and if Deshaun Watson continues to underutilize his own ability, it may not get much better for the Houston Texans over the course of the remainder of the season. Now that I've talked about all the offensive things that I want to, let's move on to the defense because there was quite a bit to talk about there. Let's talk about the big story. Harrison Smith, man, this one hurt. But I want to say this, I am relatively 50-50 on that hit and his ejection because in one realm, I do understand that obviously you're not supposed to be going to anyone's head with the crown of your helmet or shoulder or anything around here going into the other players around here. However you want to call it, it's obviously not something you're supposed to do, and the penalty was definitely, sufficiently given to Harrison Smith. But in that moment, the game is so fast-paced that it's really hard for Harrison to kind of try to pull up in any way, shape, or form or adjust his tackling at all. So I don't know if the ejection was 100% warranted, but at the same time, I do understand. I don't know if there's going to be any suspensions or fines coming out of this. I doubt there's a suspension, but they probably have to take more looks into it. I would assume there'd be a fine. I don't know if I would agree with that either, but I'm a little 50-50 on the situation, and it really sucked because then we had to put in practice squad safety George Iloka, and this kind of made me wonder why we didn't carry more safeties coming into the season. I understand that Zimmer and all of his guys have ways that they want to build the team and have this many players here, this many players here, but safety, I understand that we have the best safety combo in the league. When you take one of those out and you put in George Iloka, who clearly was dropped from the Bengals and us already one time for pretty good reason. George did not have a great game overall, blew coverage multiple times that really cost us a touchdown as well. He was lucky he was able to make that play at the very end on the Texans' last drive on the fumble on the pitch to the left. Let's just hope that no one gets ejected for more helmet-to-helmet hits, because I cannot stand watching George Iloka. It really hurt, and it made me very sad. But as a whole, I liked a lot more of what I saw from the defense, kind of like last week, but this was even better. The run defense was really solid, and Duke Johnson and David Johnson didn't really get much going at all, as well as Deshaun Watson, who I feel like could have taken advantage of our defense. I mean, I understand that we played very well this game, but if Deshaun was able to use his legs, I don't know how else to say it, I don't know. I feel like there could have been more damage done, but the Vikings, they negated any sort of massive amounts of damage that could have been done by the Texans' run offense. And, you know, the pass defense, Holton Hill continued to have issues today, a couple penalties, got burned a couple times. And, you know, again, this is something we have to expect. Young corners, rookie guys with very little experience. It's going to happen. And, you know, it's just something we're not going to be able to escape until, you know, these guys develop into what hopefully Mike Zimmer can get them to be, and that's good or great corners. But as a whole, I mean, 23 points given up, that's a little better than what we have been giving up. It's not great, it's not what we want, but it did end up getting the victory for us. I'm relatively happy, but damn, let's just hope that George Iloka doesn't have to come in for the rest of the season. Sorry. Before I finish things up, I just want to point out a couple things for the Texans. I don't know why Bill O'Brien is still even in the league. From what I could see, he was calling plays today for the Texans, and man, did it show. Oh my God, the play calling, it didn't fit how the Texans' offense is supposed to be run. In the moment right now, I'm not sure how I could explain that to you, but just take my word for it. Bill O'Brien, the announcers were saying, oh, Bill O'Brien's probably talking with Tim Kelly, offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. Hell no, he was not. Are you kidding me? You think any offensive coordinator with like some few brain cells that work towards offensive like play in the NFL would call some of those plays at the Texans? Absolutely not, okay? Bill O'Brien is someone that just needs to be out of the league. My dad asked in the middle of the game, or rather towards the end, he's like, I wonder if Bill O'Brien would fire himself. And I said, absolutely not, because that would be making a good decision. And now his team is 0-4. But luckily for the Texans, you have good news on your side. There was one team in the history of the NFL to go 0-4 and then make the playoffs, and that is the 1992 San Diego Chargers. I forgot what city they were from at that point in time, but you still have a sliver of hope. Is it a big one? Absolutely not. Is it there? Yeah, it is. That's all I got for the game. As a whole, I really enjoyed what I saw. I have a lot more hope. I don't know if I have enough hope to see us beating Seattle, but it should be a much more competitive game now that guys like Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook are being properly utilized, and Adam Thielen seems to be getting back into a rhythm. Kyle Rudolph played pretty well. The offensive line, still some question marks there. I still don't like Drew Samia. I'm sorry. Things are fine. We have the win, so let's cherish it. Once again, take those tanks of yours, take that Trevor Lawrence boy, get him out of your mind, because we have a win and there are still teams that are completely winless. So that conversation should go completely out the window, and I know for a fact that people are still going to be talking like that, and I'm just going to have to sucker punch every single one of them. And that's going to wrap up this week's recap of the Minnesota Vikings versus the Houston Texans. Once again, I loved what I saw for the most part, and I'm a little more optimistic about the season. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure that you hit the button down below to subscribe. You guys think I can't see my numbers, but look at this number right here. Huh? That many of you are not subscribed? That is unacceptable, and I hope that you guys can change that. Other than that, give the video a like as well, share it if you want as well, crack you on the street, you already know. And this has been Nick with Skull Network with the Minnesota Vikings and Texans recap, and I'm going to see you guys all in Week 5 picks coming out on this upcoming Wednesday. Adios.